We have some other representatives from the elected officials' offices. We have Gail Mohammed from from Congressman Ed Towns' office. We have Deborah Dillon from the Office of the State Controller. We have Joan Eastman from Senator Velma Montgomery's office. Is there anyone else that I'm missing? Okay, just wanted to recognize, because we get a lot of support from our elected officials, and we've really, between statewide and Brooklyn-wide, we've always developed very, very good relationships with the elected officials' offices in order to get what we need for seniors. Now, one of the things that Joan was saying, getting back to the report, you know, a lot of people, when I was explaining, this has been a whole year process, and a lot of people, when they were wondering what the Economic Security Index was, and they said, well, we have a federal poverty level. I said, oh no, that federal poverty level has nothing to do with the needs of seniors. It really does not represent, especially something going on here in, what the expenses are here in New York City. The federal poverty level is to identify what poverty is, while the Economic Security Index is something that we use. It's going to be a tool that we'll use to make sure that seniors are stable and able to stay in the community. So it's a big difference. And I just wanted to point that out. And with that, I'll bring Alison Gottlieb from the University of Massachusetts, Boston.
Thank you for having me here today. It's wonderful to come down to Brooklyn, and I always love being at these launches because now we get to see, all these numbers that we sit up in our ivory tower up at UMass Boston and, manipulating numbers, but we get to see that they actually are going to get used. And I also enjoy coming down like a day early and sort of walking around the neighborhood and getting a flavor of things, and had a great dinner last night in Brooklyn. That's certainly easy to find someplace good to eat. So I also want to thank my colleagues Jan Muchler and Ellen Bruce up at UMass Boston for working on this project. Okay, so how much does it cost for New York elders to age in place with dignity? So the Elder Economic Security Standard Index for New York, tabulated by the Gerontology Institute at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, in collaboration with Wider Opportunities for Women, provides the answer to this question. The goals of the Elder Index are to measure the cost of living for older adults in today's economy who are aging in place in their own homes, and to show how these costs vary from county to county within states. The New York Elder Index fills a gap in knowledge about the real cost of aging in place. The Elder Index is distinct from traditional measures of poverty because it reflects the cost of all basic needs and accounts for differences in costs based on geographic, housing, and health status. The New York Elder Index reflects market costs of housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and miscellaneous costs for people aged 65 or older. Costs are estimated using publicly available, widely accepted data sources. The Elder Index is calculated separately for each county in New York, for specific regions, and statewide. Values are tabulated separately for single elders and for elder couples. The Elder Index accounts for the realities that affect what it costs for an elder to age in place and meet basic needs. The Elder Index is calculated separately for 3 different housing situations: living in an owned home with no mortgage, living in an owned home but still paying off a mortgage, and living in a 1-bedroom rented apartment. Values are also calculated for people in poor, good, or excellent health. So calculated for the state as a whole, elders living alone in New York need about $19,400 to cover their basic annual living costs if they live in their own home with no mortgage. The Elder Index shows that costs vary across the state depending on the county that people live in, as you'll find in the Elder Index report, which is what we're releasing today. This shows the costs for each county, as well as some statewide regions and the state as a whole. Living costs for single elders living in a home with no mortgage can be as low as $16,000 in Oswego County, or as high as $27,000 in Westchester County. If an older single person's mortgage is not paid off, or if she is renting a home, living costs are higher. In New York State, 46% of seniors own their own home without a mortgage. 18% of them are still paying off a mortgage, and 36% are renters. Housing costs are the largest expense for elders living alone in every county in New York, whether they own or rent their home. Even in low-cost areas, seniors need to pay a minimum of 26% of their necessary expenditures on housing. Single elders who rent and live in the highest cost areas will pay as much as 58% of their necessary expenditures on housing. On average, a mortgage more than doubles housing costs and increases total annual living expenses by $10,000 a year.